Hello everyone, you're welcome back to my channel. My name is Eunice. In this video, I'll be sharing with us how I made this beautiful flared gown with gathered ruffles at the down part. And the ruffles are in three steps. This gown is stylish, it's beautiful and comfortable, and it is easy to make. I hope this is something you're interested in learning. Please make sure to keep on watching till the end. And if you're yet to subscribe to my channel, kindly click on the subscribe button to subscribe and ensure you put on your notification bell so you'll be the first to receive a notification every time I upload a new video. And please share this video, like this video, leave your comments. Thank you, and let's get right into the video. I'll be using this black Duchess fabric for the main gown, and this is 3 yards. And then this is the Ankara fabric we'll be using for the ruffles, and I have 2 yards of Ankara. So the measurements needed for this project will appear on your screen. Okay, so I haven't seen the measurements we're working with. I'll be folding the Duchess fabric on bias. We're making a flat gown, so we're not going to fold straight. We'll have to fold this on bias. So folding on bias means I'm going to fold it in a slanted shape. I'm going to be forming like a triangle shape, but not a sharp triangle. So just watch carefully what I'm doing. Can you see that the down part of the fabric, I'm expanding it, while the upper part, I'm reducing it in size? Can you see? So this is what I mean by folding on bias. And you see that the down part is wide, while the upper part is narrow. So it's more like an A shape, but even though not a sharp A. I hope you get that. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is to find where I can get the shoulder measurement at the narrow side, which is the upper part. So placing my tape from the folded part, which is the center front, I'm going to measure the shoulder measurement divided by 2 plus half, and that is 9 inches. So you can see that this is where I can get my 9 inches. So I'm going to rule a straight line there, and this will serve as the shoulder line. Okay, so on this straight line, I'm going to mark the shoulder measurement divided by 2 plus half. The half inch I'm adding to it is for joining the sleeve. So having marked it, next I'm going to mark the neck width. And before marking the neck width, I'll come down by 1 inch for the shoulder slant. And then I'll go ahead and mark the neck width of 4 inches. I'm going to use the straight part of my pattern master to connect to the neck width, and now this is the shoulder slant. So from this shoulder slant, I'm going to come down by the armhole measurement, and I'm using an armhole of 9 inches, and this is it here. So having marked 9 inches there, I'm going to confirm the shoulder measurement here. This is for me to have a straight line. So the shoulder measurement is 9 inches. That's half of the shoulder measurement plus half. That's 9 inches. I'm going to mark that same 9 inches where I got the 9 inches for the armhole. Can you see? So this is so that we have a straight line. And then I'll go ahead and connect it to the shoulder tip. Can you see that? Okay, so you want to make sure to confirm that 9 inches at the point where you got the armhole measurement so that you have a straight line. So I'll go ahead and square out the armhole line. Then next I'll get the midpoint from the shoulder slant to the armhole line, and then I'll go in by half of an inch at that midpoint. So this is for both the front and back armhole. So the armhole for both the front and back for this flared gown is the same thing. Okay, so I haven't gone in by a half inch. I connected it to the shoulder slant. And then here on the chest line, which is also the armhole line, I marked the bust measurement divided by 4. And you can see I'm connecting my armhole to that measurement. And you see, and I also added a sewing allowance of 1.5 there at the side. So now I'm going to mark the back neckline. Remember, we're drafting for the front and the back. So the back neck depth is 1 inch. I'll go ahead and connect it to the neck width of 4 inches I have here already. And then I'm going to come down by a neck depth of 5 inches for the front. I'll use my armhole curve tool to connect it. So having done that, the next thing I'm going to do is to get the length of the gown. So these are basically the measurements you need, because this fabric is folded on bias, so it's wide at the down part, so you really don't need your hip measurement. But you can as well confirm that it is enough to carry the hip measurement so that you don't fold less than you need. I hope we understand that. So from the starting point, that's at the shoulder tip here, I'm going to mark the length of the gown. And the length of the gown is 45 inches plus hemming allowance of 1 inch. Okay, I'm marking it. So take note of where my tape is. Can you see it's at the center front there on the shoulder line? And I went ahead to connect my 46 inches, which is the length of the gown. Make sure your tape does not leave the center front at the shoulder line. I hope you understand that. So next I'll go ahead and connect from this bust measurement, that's from the allowance I already added. I'll just take it all the way down to the full length of the gown. So this is just basically it for this flared gown. Can you see? So next I'll bring in my scissors so that we can cut it out. But this is what I'm trying to do before we cut it out. Like I said, be sure that your hip can go in. So I just went ahead to mark the hip from the shoulder line. So this is the hip line. So you can see what I have is wide enough to take care of the hip measurement, and even with extra. So you want to be careful when you are folding so that you don't fold too small. But most times, for the fact that you can get your shoulder measurement already when it is wide, it just gives the hip measurement, it just flares out. At the hem here of this flare, I have 22 inches on fold. So 22 inches when it is open is 44. So that is big enough to take care of whatever size of hip. Okay, and this is it. So as you can see, I've cut it out, and I cut on the back neckline because I said we're cutting for both the front and back. So I placed this on my fabric and cut the second one. So the second one now will serve as the back. So you can see I've gone ahead to trim out the front neckline, so we now have our front and our back. Okay, so next I'm going ahead to slash the one that will serve as the center back open. So I slashed it down at the center back here because we're going to be having button loops at the back. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do now is to cut out the facing for the back. And you see I've placed my fabric on a fold already. I've pressed it, so I'm tracing out the neckline. So for the back yoke, sorry, for the back facing, is going to be long. You can see it's quite long. This is because I have an opening at the back, so you want to make sure that the facing goes below the opening. Okay, so I'm going to place this way. Can you see? So I have to slash the facing open also, just like the back has been slashed open. So this is it about the back facing. So I'll go ahead and cut out the front facing. So you can see I folded my fabric also, and this is our front facing. So for the front facing, it's short, it's not as long as the back, so this is just enough for the front. The next thing to do is to cut the basic sleeve. To cut the basic sleeve, I'm taking the measurement of the armhole so that we'll cut a sleeve that fits in perfectly. And right now I've measured the armhole and I have 14 inches. So I have my fabric placed on a fold. Can you see I placed the tape slanted from the upper part, and I have my 14 inches. Okay, so having done that, next I'll come down by the cap's height. So from the starting point, can you see this is my starting line? I came down by the cap's height, and this is it here. So this, from this part, is the starting point, and this is our cap's height I'm marking it. So to get the cap's height, you divide the bust by 12 plus half inch. That's the cap's height. Okay, so here my fabric is on fold. On the cap's height line, I marked the armhole measurement of 9 inches. So can you see I just used my free hand to connect the sleeve from the starting point of the sleeve. Can you see how it just curves? So this is me going ahead to measure the sleeve cap, that place, and measuring this place to be sure that it's enough to fit into the armhole, which it can fit into the armhole. I have my 14 inches there. Okay, so next I'm going to measure the length of the sleeve. So from the starting point here, the length of the sleeve is 8 inches, and I'm marking 8 inches, and then I added 2 inches for hemming allowance. Okay, so this is me squaring out the lines. So on this, the length of the sleeve, I'm going to enter the upper round arm plus 2 inches here, and this is it. I'll connect it to the sleeve cap. Next, I'm going to measure whatever it is I have at the hem of the sleeve. I'm going to add half inch to that measurement and enter it on the hemming allowance. This is so that the hem of the sleeve, that's the hemming allowance, is wider than the actual length of the sleeve, so that by the time we fold it, we will not have any shortage. Can you see how it just opens up a little? I added half inch to what I have at the hem of the sleeve. So this is just a simple way of drafting our basic sleeve. Okay, so can you see? So I'll fold it now. Can you see how that half inch blends up at this point? It matches up. So even when you fold it and you have a bit of excess, just go ahead and trim it out. Okay, so if you haven't seen my video on how to draft a basic sleeve, I'll drop the link to the video in the description box. You'll learn a detailed way on how to draft a basic sleeve. This is just a fast one. Okay, so now the next thing we're going to do is to cut the gathers that we're going to have at the hem of the gown. Okay, so first I'm just going to go upwards from the hem of the gown. Right now I'm going up by about 5 inches, even though I later changed my mind and I went up with about 8 inches, so that the gathers is not too low. So but for now I'm marking 5 inches. So I'll measure from the center front to the side front. Can you see, using my crease line, and I have 22 inches there. So since I have 22 inches on one side, that means the other side is also 22 inches, because they are equal. So 22 on the left, 22 on the right, that's 44. So the back also is going to be the same, 44. So 44 in front, 44 at the back, that's 44 plus 44, that's 88. Okay, that's what we have around. So now this 88 inches I have, I'm going to multiply 88 by 2. You can actually multiply by 3, you can multiply by 2.5, depending on the amount of fabric you have. Remember I said I'm using just 2 yards, so I'm multiplying my 88 by 2, and that will give us 176 for the gathers that we're going to have. Okay, so then the next thing I'm going to do is to measure the length of the fabric we'll be using for the gathers. Already I said the width is going to be 176, that's 88 times 2, and then in length is going to be 5 inches. So by the time we hem the down part and hem the upper part, we're going to be left with about 3.5. Okay, we're going to be left to about 3.5, because I'll be hemming with half inch, not really up to half inch. I want to have 3.5, that's just it. Okay, so right now I've cut out the fabric that we'll be using for our gathers, and I've hemmed both sides. I hemmed it in a way that I am left with 3.5 inches, and the length of this, rather sorry, the width is 176, while the length is 3.5, and I cut out 3 pieces of this. Okay, 3 pieces of this. So we're going to have 3 layers of this gathered, and I have also, after hemming it, I went ahead to do a long stitch. I use the longest stitch on my machine, that's the gather stitch on my machine, to run a very loose stitch here. This is so that we can gather it. Okay, so I'll go ahead and gather all three of the fabric I have cut out. I'll gather it. Okay, so now, for now, you can see that our facing, I have stitched the facing already to the back. Can you see? This is me going ahead to notch that V shape at the back. That's the sharp point at the back. And then I'm going ahead to also trim out the excess. So you want to make sure that you notch the neckline so that it sits well when you press it. And you see? So I'll turn the back inside out. So you can see I have the Ankara fabric there. I used it to create the button loop. All I did was to cut a fabric that is 4 inches in length, and I put elastic inside it, 4 inches in length and 1 inch on fold. So I stitched it on one side and then turned it inside out and put my elastic inside it. Just that's how I just created the button loop, so you can see what it looks like. Okay, so the elastic for the fabric, it is 4 inches in length and the elastic is 2 inches, so it will gather it backwards. Okay, and then here is our front as well. I've also stitched the neckline, I stitched the facing, and I'm also going ahead to notch it. So after notching it, I'm going to give it a very nice press and make sure it is well relaxed. Then I'm going to join the shoulders of both the front and back together, and then I'll stitch the sleeves to the armhole, and then I'm going to show us the next thing to do. So I'm done fixing the sleeves, and then I went ahead to also fix the side pockets. So for the pocket, it's just the regular way we cut our pocket. I just placed my hand on my fabric and traced out the shape of the pocket, as you can see. So I traced out 2 pieces for this side, 2 pieces for the other side, and I stitched it right side facing right side on the right side of the fabric. That's what I mean. And then before placing the pocket, I came down by 8 inches from the armhole, and that's the point I started the pocket. I did the same thing on the front and back, and that's it. And then I went ahead to shape this outfit on 1 inch. You can see I shaped it round, and then I brought it this way. So when I got to the pocket area, I came down by 1 inch. And you see, this is where the pocket is. I came down by 1 inch before taking the turn this way, and then all the way down to the hem. You can see I did it on both sides, so we have our pocket opening. And then I also went ahead to hem the down part. I've not ironed it yet. So now turn this to the right side so that I can show us how to place our gathers. So this is the hem of our flare gown. So from the hem here, I'm going to go up. From the hem of the gown, I'll go up by 8 inches. So this is 8 inches here. I'll mark the same 8 inches. So this is my 8 inches. I'm going to repeat the same thing on the back. So I've marked it on both sides. And see? So the next one, I'm going to go up by 1 inch. Just 1 inch spacing between them. 1 inch here and then 1 inch. So that means, okay, maybe I should just do 1.5. So I'll go up by 1.5 and then I'll go up by 1.5. So I'll erase this one. So 1.5 upwards from this point I will mark. Marked out the points on both the front and back. So now I have 3 of these strips. So this one that has these colors is going to be at the middle, that's at the center, and then these 2 that are the same colors, they will be at the first and the last. Okay, so I'll use this one to start showing us how to fix them. Right, these are front here now. So first I'm going to get the midpoint. I get the midpoint of the fabric. And then I'm going to measure it to be sure that I have that 44 inches on fold. So you can see I have 44 plus 1 here. So now I'm going to place them right side facing right side for the gathers. Right side facing right side, and I will run a stitch here. I'll stitch them together so that I have them looking like this as one piece. Remember, we have already shaped our outfit, so I'll do that. I'll stitch it and come back and show us how to place it. So after joining them together, this is how I joined them neatly. So now this is, I'm still going to get the center. This is going to be the center back. The place that has the joining will be the center back, while this place will be the center front. So here, that is the center front. It is obvious that I have my crease line here, so this is the middle. So I'm going to place this like this. Can you see? So I'll lift it up and place it underneath. That's I'm basically placing the gown in between the fabric, that's in between the Ankara fabric, and this is our middle here that I'm holding. I'm now going to place it over the center here and pin it. So I'm pinning exactly at the middle, the point where I ran my gather stitch. Can you see? So now let's open it up so that you can see what it looks like. Really open it and then secure with my pin. So I'll be opening it. Can you see I'm placing my hand from the inside? So I'm pinning only to the front side. I'll keep pinning till I get to the back. So while pinning the gathers, as you can see, I'm making sure to open up the gathers. You don't want to do this roughly. You want to open it up so that you get the center and then pin exactly at the middle. For me, the middle is the point where I ran my loose stitch. That's the gather stitch. So it is easy to identify it. And like I said, I use the contrasting thread. So after pinning it round the the gown, I will take it off. That's after I have stitched at that center. That's after I have stitched on the crease line. So I'm going to take off the contrasting thread. Since it's a contrasting thread, it's easy to identify. I'll just take it off. Okay, so you can see I've pinned the first layer of the gathers. So I'm going to repeat the same thing for the other two. So take note that these gathers are not going to the side seam. Can you see how it looks on the inside? So that's the essence of stitching close the open part. And that part that is the open part, or that was supposed to be the open part, I placed it at the center back using the crease line. So I'm going to take this to my sewing machine and stitch at the center. Then I will remove the gathers thread. I will also repeat what I have done for the other two. Okay, so the second step and the third step, and then I'm going to show us the final outcome of this outfit. So this is the final outcome of our flared gown with ruffles at the down part. And you see how the ruffles came out really beautiful with the colorful one at the middle. It's really beautiful. I enjoyed making this gown and I hope you enjoyed watching this video also. If you did, please make sure to like this video, share this video, and do not forget to hit on the subscribe button to subscribe. And ensure you also put on your notification bell so you get a notification every time I upload a new video. Thank you for watching. See you in my next video. Bye.